Hello and welcome to the Photo Brigade podcast. I'm Robert Kaplan. I've got my friend Alicia Hansen across from me. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I'm pumped to have you. I know we've talked a while about having you on because we want to talk about not only your career, but this really great organization, NYC Salt, that you run. And we will talk about all that and more in just a second. Before we do, I just want to say thank you to Adorama, letting us use their event space in their nice studio. They've built this little podcast studio for us. Check them out, adorama.com/events. Also, thank you to Canon Professional Services for all your support, Temba Bags, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, please, if you wouldn't mind, go to our YouTube page and subscribe, because we post these podcasts and all other types of events, and we're going to be putting up new episodic content soon. So if you go there, hit subscribe, that would be much obliged. So back to Alicia. So let's talk a little bit about how we met. It's through the Eddie Adams Workshop, yeah?
Yeah.
You've been working with the Eddie Adams Workshop for some time now, haven't you?
I was a student, I believe, in 1998. And
1998, okay.
Was a part of the black team.
What number workshop was that? Do you remember? Barnstorm? You don't remember your first?
No idea.
Let's see. So I was Barnstorm 17 when I started, and that was in the early 2000s, like 2003 or 4 or something like that. But anyhow, but you've been there pretty much ever since, kind of helping out.
Off and on. I came back the next couple years as a black team member, and then a couple years later again, and then the last 2-3 years I've produced. Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing also the last couple of years, is producing, which is quite a task.
Yes.
Because this workshop we're talking about, for those of you that don't know, is this upstate New York annual workshop put on by the late Eddie Adams and his wife, Alicia Adams, up at their barn. And it's really, really cool. We always have a good time. 100 of the top students and early professionals come and barnstorm and produce stories and listen to amazing, I don't know, speakers. I mean, some of the best speakers you could ever imagine. I mean, is how it is the crux of the matter. So, anyhow, so let's talk a little bit about your background. You're a photographer. Let's look through a couple of your photos here and give me a little background on you. How'd you get into photography and in New York and doing this for a living?
So I got my first camera when I was a senior in college, and went through 7 different majors at the University of Georgia. Not
7 different majors.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to do everything, which once I found journalism, I felt like I could do a little bit of everything, because through the lens of the camera, you have access to the whole world, right, and all kinds of different parts of the world. And I fell in love with photojournalism, and all I wanted to be, once I discovered photography, was a newspaper photographer, and that's where I started.
Where did you start?
I did my first internship at the State Journal-Register in Springfield, Illinois. And then I went, oh, actually, that's wrong. My very first internship was at the Athens Banner-Herald.
Oh, okay.
At the University of Georgia.
My first internship was at the Athens Messenger.
No way.
So we both have 2. High five here.
In Ohio.
In Ohio, yep.
Yeah, awesome.
That's where Ohio University is.
Right.
And I happen to grow up in that area.
Awesome.
So, but sorry, go on. I'm taking your wind.
No, that's fine. And then it was the summer of the 1996 Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
And I interned all summer, and then went on to intern at the State Journal-Register, and then the Roanoke World News. I hope I'm saying that right.
Uh-huh.
And
so you did a lot of internships.
Yes.
How important would you say are internships for those that want to get into a career of photojournalism, or really any type of photography?
Not to discount a bachelor's degree, but they were my whole education. That's what really trained me to become a photographer. I did 7 internships and then landed my first job at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution as a staff photographer.
Oh.
And I was there for 3 years and then got a full scholarship to get my master's at Syracuse Newhouse School. And from there was introduced to the amazing world of photography in New York City, and interned at Fortune magazine with Michelle McNally when she was there.
And I interned for her under the New York Times.
Awesome.
Look at this. I didn't know we had so much in common. That's great.
And then did an internship at the Seattle Times and decided that I really wanted to come back to New York and be a part of the photography world here. And that's when I started working with Joe McNally as his assistant.
All right.
And then transitioned after working with him into my own freelance business.
Cool. A lot of Joe's assistants do really well, I've found. And matter of fact, we've got right after this, Drew Gurian's going to be on, and he was one of Joe's assistants for many years.
He was my intern.
Oh my gosh! Look at this. This is all like coming together. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So while we talk a little bit more, tell me a little bit about this this story that we're going to look at.
Mac Brothers Boiler Shop. It's one of my favorite stories that I've done. I did it in grad school, and it's just a very classic black and white essay on this boiler shop and steel workers in upstate New York. And I just fell in love with the light and the place. It was so interesting, and I'm very interested in community and multi-generational American businesses and craftsmanship. And I just found these guys fascinating. And I found the light that was filtering through the windows and just really fascinating.
It's really nice. Did you shoot this black and white?
I did.
You did. So this is
I
like the
shot
legitimate.
it on film.
Look at this. That's real grain, people.
It is.
That's awesome.
That I processed myself.
Man. Well, it's really beautiful work.
Thank you.
And so how much do you? This was just a project for school. This was not published.
No, it's never been published. I'd love for it to show somewhere sometime, but
we're showing it right now.
Right. Well,
that's right.
Yes.
But I mean, in a gallery or something.
In a gallery, yeah.
Or maybe be published at some point.
Yeah.
You know, maybe at some point it will. I mean, I can imagine that kind of thing happening. So, what were you shooting? Like, can you tell me a little bit about like what kind of camera and?
I
remember?
believe I was shooting with a Nikon F5.
F5. Oh, those are big workhorses. I remember
know.
those.
That was my favorite camera while I was working for the newspaper. I was kind of in that generation where we transitioned at the paper from film to digital. And so it was a very interesting time to be just to learn how to work differently.
Yeah. So you had to sort of, this wasn't, when I went from film to digital, it was during my schooling at Ohio University. I remember I was the first student to go digital, and they were kind of like, the professors were joking with me like, oh, come on, you're going to, but the reality is I was suddenly able to take more photos than anyone else in class. We weren't just shooting 1 or 3 rolls a week. I was shooting hundreds of the photos, and you learn a lot more, and instantly, I guess. So, and this obviously was shot on a, what was this, like a large 4 by 5. That's
a
beautiful.
Type 55.
Wow, that's
that
something.
I solarized.
Solarized? What does that mean?
Well, I shouldn't say this, but it was kind of an accident.
An accident, okay.
But
you should have said it was on purpose.
It was, I guess, yes.
So it was just a little over.
No, so I Type 55 is a Polaroid that has a negative and a positive. And when you pull it, it has to go in. I don't know. I brought Tupperware with a solution in it.
Sure.
To develop
some sort of chemistry. Yep.
Right. And I did it in the bright sunlight, not knowing at the time that it would solarize the negative.
Okay.
and then when I saw it in the darkroom and made a print of it, it just kind of really fit because
it almost feels like a tintype or something.
Right.
Like this sort of old look. Really cool.
It wasn't meant to be. I really just wanted to make a fun portrait or a beautiful portrait of these steelworkers.
How often do you use this the larger format these days? Do you still use it much, or is this like
not ever?
This is way back when, huh?
No, we have one in the studio, but it doesn't get used too much.
Wow, these are stunning. All right, so are you also using lighting as well, or is this all natural light?
It was a reflector.
There's a reflector. Wow.
And it
That's
was
great.
like right out on the street. I just brought a white piece of paper and put it up behind them.
All right, so I want to talk about this. This is something I didn't know about you. You were a photographer on the set of The Apprentice with our next president, Donald Trump. I mean, I'm not equivocally saying that, but I mean, you were at least on this set. Can we talk about like how did you get a gig like this? What was it like to be a set photographer? I mean, as a news photographer myself, I've maybe shot a few behind the scenes of a movie or something, but it's here and there. Seems like you were there for all of the moments. And,
Yeah.
And tell me about your blimps. Did you ever use a blimp and all that kind of stuff?
I wish I had had a blimp. I didn't. I was in the right spot at the right time, and the photographer that had the contract for this project couldn't shoot it, and we met up at I think Photo Plus.
Oh yeah.
And he asked if I wanted to shoot the job, and I obviously
sure.
said yeah.
So Photo Plus, that's another thing is I've gone. Photo Plus, for people that don't know, is a big expo here in New York City at the Javits Center, and every time I go, it's always it's overwhelming. It's kind of tiring. It's sort of a pain in the butt. But it seems like I always come out with some sort of connection, or I meet someone and something happens. This is a good example of that. Do you often go to these types of events and find work or connections in that sort of capacity, or was this a one-off?
No, I go every year, and it's a great place to learn something new, to be updated on the new equipment that's out, to see equipment that you might want to try out and ask questions about. But it's also a great place to connect with people.
Right.
I've always met up with other photographers there, or ran into people I haven't seen in a while, or ran into or met up with some of our partners that sponsor our program now. Right. So I love going. I think it's a great event.
Yeah.
I'm actually just sending 2 of my students out to WPPI.
Oh, really?
Next week.
Oh,
or actually,
wow.
they're leaving tonight. Yep.
So that's a good segue then into, I want to get into what it is that you do with NYC Salt. Before I go and butcher what it is that you do, I'm going to let you just go ahead and explain the organization.
Yep. So NYC Salt is a photography program for teenagers in New York City that I designed about 11 years ago, and started out working with 8 boys, middle school boys, and kind of...
That's Gabe.
They grew up with the program, and now our program is primarily for high school students, and we serve kids from underrepresented areas of the city and provide art photography programming to try to kind of solve the problem or be a part of the solution of kids learning art and learning that they're creative. And so this program has been going on for 11 years. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And now we have a full residency program, which students have to apply to and interview for, which takes them through 3 to 4 years in high school of learning the basics about photography, but also learning about lighting and learning about architectural photography or pet photography or street shooting or studio photography or still life or food photography. We expose them to all aspects of photography in hopes to inspiring them towards and showing them what kind of career paths are available in the photo industry.
That's really amazing. I mean, you've been doing this now for, you said 13 years?
11.
11 years, sorry.
Yep.
That's I didn't realize it was over a decade. And that was, so 11 years is when I came to New York. I mean, so this whole time that I've been here in New York, you've been doing this amazing project and touching the lives of countless? I mean, about 10 a year or something like that?
We've graduated 34 students. 100% of our students are accepted to college.
Oh, wow, that's great.
We have a college persistence rate of about 89%, and all of our students have graduated from high school.
I'm going to start going through some of your student work here. Feel free to talk about it or shout anyone out. We've got a couple folders worth of photos.
Yeah.
So do you are these students, the work that we're looking at now, are you guys out on photo walks, or do you have them do homework and they come back, and is it like college? I mean,
yes,
it's very much like your college classes.
I'd say that our teaching is very similar to what's taught on the undergrad and grad level at school.
Really?
In a college.
Really?
Definitely.
I couldn't imagine if when I was in high school, there was a photo class, but I wouldn't say that I really learned much from it, other than just putting together, portfolios, I guess. And I learned how to make black and white prints and the developing process just before things went digital, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, this work is really, really nice. I mean, this looks like professional quality work.
Thank you.
And so you're teaching them light painting, huh?
That would be Gabe.
That would be Gabe. Yeah, our friend Gabe. He's
from B&H.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so studio work as well. You have different. So you also work with other professional photographers that donate their time. Yep. Can you talk about like the types of photographers that have come in and done so?
All types of photographers. I think that's what makes our program really unique, because we've got somebody like Adam Chinitz that does primarily still life, studio photography and portraiture, and then we've got somebody like Shari Goodfriend who does a lot of events and portraiture and more journalistic type photography. And then we've got somebody like Tricia Scott, who's with Merge Left Reps, and she's a photo rep.
Cool.
So she's very strong on the editing side and helping the kids learn how to market themselves. And then Amy Wolf, who is also a photo editor. She was at Fortune and PDN, and now she has a company called Co-Edit Collections. And she's amazing with helping the kids edit their work. Each student is assigned a professional photographer to edit with them throughout the whole year to help them build a portfolio.
Oh, that's great.
So that's where we really can use volunteers. If there's photographers out there that are interested in mentoring a student, we assign students a photographer every year.
And you work with various sponsors, obviously, to fund these projects. And this, for instance, was a project you did with Manfrotto. Yeah?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this. This will give an idea. We'll go through these rather quickly. We might not be able to read all their bios and everything, but talk about the projects here.
So this is kind of the brainchild of Anthony Pack, who's at Manfrotto, and he has been working with us and donating equipment for years for our students to use. And he came up with a project along with Francesca, who's at Manfrotto, for the students to choose 5 students in our program that Manfrotto gave a camera and a tripod and some lighting equipment to keep for the whole summer. And then they spent the summer doing a project individually on the subject of change. And they all interpreted change in a different way. Like Danny, you'll see, has interpreted it as like a change in time, and made pictures that showed change in time.
Very cool.
And the kids worked all through the summer, and then Manfrotto's president came into the studio to judge the work, and the top student received a $1,000 scholarship.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I bet that was
which
exciting.
was Irvin.
This fella? Oh no, the last one.
Irvin was the first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Very cool. I mean, this is all beautiful work, and you say so. You've graduated just under 40. Do most of these guys turn into being photographers, or does it end up being more of a hobby, which is fine? I'm just curious if any of them have become professional or anything like that.
Danny and Christian, who you saw previously, both have become photographers. They're the ones that are out at WPPI.
Oh, right.
Nora, whose work this is a graphic designer. She just graduated from Syracuse Newhouse School.
Wow, so that's great.
Yeah.
That's a big school.
So I'd say the majority of our students are majoring in some type of communication or fine art major. There's some that don't, and it'll be a great hobby for them and a way for them to make money while they're in college. We do a lot of teaching around how to make money with your camera, and that focuses sometimes on how to do a birthday party or how to shoot a headshot or how to do a wedding. And those are all things that they can make much more than minimum wage while they're in college and help to pay for their education so they don't have so much debt when they graduate.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, I mean, like you said, donating and also helping out. If anybody's interested in perhaps getting involved, which of course I am, we've talked about this, but what do? They just reach out to you and do they have to be in New York and so on and so forth?
Not necessarily. There's a lot of ways that we could use help. We could use help with people mentoring the kids. We also have a homework program where kids that aren't doing so well in a math class or a physics class might need a tutor. And we have homework help Wednesdays. We could use help fundraising. This year especially is a year that we have to move out of our studio because our rent is going up, and we've quite frankly outgrown our space.
Really? I mean, your space was right there. I missed it. Okay. But
yeah.
I think you have a pretty big space.
It is, but it is packed with kids every single day after school. And our staff has been growing, so we do need a bigger space. We have to move by October. So we're going to be doing some pretty heavy fundraising this year so that we can have a program in the fall and a place for the kids to go.
So folks can go to nycsalt.org.
Yeah.
They can also, it looks like you can donate here. If students are interested in applying, they can apply there. And it looks like you can buy a print. Is that sort of a way to donate as well, I suppose, and volunteer. So, this is, one of the main reasons why I really wanted to talk to you, because I think it's really amazing and important what you're doing. And I, I can see in your face as you're talking about it, this sort of sense of gratification that you get, giving back. And I'm sure it takes a lot of your time as well.
It's all I do.
It's all you do.
It is 100% my job. I spend most of my time fundraising and the other half of my time designing programs. And we've got some really cool new programs that we're writing grants for right now that I won't speak about because we haven't gotten the grants yet.
Okay.
But there's just some great opportunities. And we also look for teaching artists. We have some summer camp programs and they're paid positions that we look for people that have a strong photography, photojournalism background that could teach a bunch of kids.
Cool.
And
again, where's your studio located now?
We're on 29th Street between 7th and 8th.
Okay, so you're not too far from here.
Yep.
Okay, well, really cool. So again, nycsalt.org, donate, help out any way you can. It's a good cause. So let's go back to you. I want to bring it.
Kids are so much more interesting.
Well, I was just talking with you also that I'd love to create an event of some sort or maybe a panel where we can have you moderate a handful of your successes or whoever, current students, and share their work. I'd love to hear from them what the experience has been like.
Yeah.
Because and you also have a video up on your website as well that really
from the Today Show.
Oh, it was from the Today Show. That's right.
Yeah.
I just shared that. So that was really amazing. That was just recent.
Yeah.
How was that? How did the Today Show come about?
They just called me out of the blue. It was like they just called. And then they came to the studio and did this great story that aired on national news on Sunday morning. It was a 5 to 7 minute spot.
Cool.
And they did Erica Hill did a fabulous job sharing the story of our program.
Have you seen anything come from that? I mean, obviously it's great publicity, but a lot of those things sometimes open doors, and maybe it's even too early to know where that could have gone.
I think it's been a really great publicity piece, and I think it gives us credibility that if the Today Show is going to pick us up, then maybe we're worthwhile to support as an organization, because we are very small. We believe in investing a lot of time with each kid.
Yeah.
And that's how I think an impact can be made. If you serve hundreds and hundreds of kids, it's really hard to tell what they need.
Really
and
cool.
so we focus a lot on each kid.
Do you do any other, I mean, I know we talked about how we did the Eddie Adams workshop together. Do you do any other types of workshops as well? Like, or is that sort of your main one?
To think. I don't know.
No.
My year is so busy. We've spoken to Bruce at Syracuse about helping out at his workshop.
Oh, cool.
Next year, but
Be neat to get some of the SALT students up to upstate at some
yeah,
point, you know?
it would.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday.
We actually do have not a workshop, but at the end of each year we have a show of the student work, and this year it's going to be at the Art Directors Club on May 24th.
Oh, cool.
And it's like a 5,000 square foot space, and
Wow.
we put up over 200 pieces of artwork, and it's like just a big, huge celebration of the kids' work.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to jump back into the last gallery that I have of yours. You have this, what was it called? This
It's called Manhattan Measure.
Manhattan Measure.
It was actually a project that I shot 9 years ago for an artist named Gene Schmidt, who's in the pictures. And he measured Manhattan with yardsticks north to south and east to west. And he hired me to document his process. And the reason I put this in here is because it is finally going to see the light of day at a gallery opening tomorrow night at the Sheen Center.
Oh, cool.
Downtown. So if you're around tomorrow night from 6 to 8, there'll be 14 photos up and his sculpture of these yardsticks. And then there's a videographer, Johnny Gerhardt, that did a video of the whole project.
Oh, okay.
So
how long did it take
fun.
him to do this? It must have been took a minute, huh?
Yeah,
But it was a little
probably
tedious?
about 6 months,
Oh, okay.
I think, or a year.
So this
can't
wasn't like all
remember.
done in a
No,
day
no,
or
it was
anything
not
like
done
that.
in a day at all. But what was fun about it, from just a photojournalistic sense, was just like trying to figure out interesting ways to shoot the same thing over and over and over again, and also trying to tell the story of each neighborhood and incorporate, the people and the place, as well as him, which is, is sometimes kind of a hard thing to do because
Right.
he's doing the same thing over and over
Right.
again. But it was fun. It was a fun project, and
Very
it was
cool.
a lot of fun street shooting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So basically, your time is, I mean, you're not taking as many photos now because you're working with your organization. Like, is that the case? Are you working on any current projects or anything that we should talk about?
No, I wish I was. My fundraising budget this year, my budget that I've got to fundraise for, is going to take up most of my time and just designing the program. That's kind of what my personal project has been. I mean, I guess it's more than a personal project now, but and I shoot when I travel, and that's kind of where I still, keep up my own work. But
How much traveling do you do?
as much as I can get away with, because
I'm a traveler too.
Yeah.
I love traveling.
I
It's
do
one of
too.
my favorite things. Just
Yeah.
seeing new cultures, different things.
It's where I find my inspiration. It's just learning about other people and other cultures. It's why I fell in love with photography, because I got to learn about everything through the lens of a camera. And I love traveling. We were just in Miami this past weekend with 4 of the kids. One of our donors paid for them to go to Miami and shoot a portrait project of dogs and their owners that'll become a book project and a gallery show. So Adam and I were coaching the kids through this project all weekend, which there were a lot of lessons learned.
Like what? Like what? What sort of lessons were learned?
Well, the second day we took away all the wide angle lenses, and we made them shoot only with a 70 to 200.
Oh, really?
And they had to shoot on aperture priority and set it at 2.8.
Interesting.
Because the first day they were all shooting wide and like with an aperture of like f11 or f22, and everything in the background was in focus.
Right.
And that's just not how you shoot a portrait.
Sure.
Well, most of the time. But And they had to kind of learn about using different focal lengths, which I hadn't realized that they didn't quite get yet.
Yeah.
So it was really
It's hard
good.
to put yourself back into the mindset of not know. I mean, now that you say that, I can remember the time that I realized, oh, it's the aperture changes the depth, and I kind of remember that kind of breakthrough at one point. I don't even think it was, and it was a little bit into my photography too, to be honest with you. I was just a kid playing with a camera at one point. So that's really cool. So what else? What else is going on? Anything that we haven't really chatted about that deserves a mention? Obviously, we want to promote as much as possible NYC Salt, but personally,
I don't know.
not so much. We've talked about it all. We've just been going back and forth on it.
Yeah.
Do you tend to still do any kind of jobs where here and there? Do you get like a gig, or do you do weddings or events or anything like that? Where it's, because I know as a journalist myself, as you were, that's not the best paying job,
No.
and so just getting a few of those here and there really doesn't make a difference.
No. Yeah. When I knew that I was going to start Salt, I focused most of my work on corporate work because that's where I could make the most money in the least amount of time, and have the rest of my time to focus on building Salt. And wasn't terribly interesting work, but it paid well enough. Just like any artist, you make trade-offs to get paid to do your projects. And Salt has been my project for a really long time. Yeah, I sometimes wonder where I would have been if I hadn't developed Salt, but just the life changes that I've seen in the kids, and the confidence that I see built in their lives, and the colleges that they go to, that I'd say most of our kids would not have gone to college without our program, and definitely would not have gone to schools like the Savannah College of Art and Design and Syracuse. We've had 4 kids get full scholarships to Syracuse.
Oh, wow. I mean, scholarship's a big deal.
It's a $55,000 school, so that's a huge.
And that's a huge impact you made on their life.
Yeah.
I mean, likely that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Well, it changes. It changes a whole family. To have a kid, first generation, graduate from a school like Syracuse with incredible skills that they can, have a career and a vocation and earn more money than anyone in their family has. And that's what our hope is for each student, is really to show them that they can find a job that they're going to love, and they can do it.
Yeah.
And that college is just kind of the vehicle with which you find that.
Yeah.
And it changes the cycle of poverty.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, you get a college graduate. First of all, you don't have to pay for it. Then you get the college education, and you're making more money and making everyone proud.
And you do things differently. You in college, you experience things that your family hasn't, or you learn things about the world that was very different from the neighborhood that you grew up in.
Well, you learn how to learn also is one of the things, which is great. Having done the the Eddie Adams workshop, we'll bring that back up. Since you've been producing for a number of years, do you take? I mean, you probably learn a lot there of how to, because I've learned a lot the last few years. As a matter of fact, in the audience we have one of my former students, and you learn how to deal and to teach and everything. Do you think that you've brought? I guess you've been doing the New York NYC Salt for longer than you've been doing the producing at the workshop, so you're probably bringing some of that knowledge into Eddie Adams. I don't know how much.
I feel like every single day I'm producing something, or sometimes 5 things. And with the Eddie Adams workshop, I feel like I kind of get to fall back into my passion for photography, because most of the time I'm producing, a class for a kid, or this weekend was a huge production, and just, all the moving parts of making it work. But at the workshop, just getting to go out into the community and talk to people and find stories and be curious. There's not many other times in my life throughout the year that I get a chance to be that curious photographer that finds interesting things in the community to shoot and uncovers things that people should know about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I love about it's a lot of work, but that's I feel like it's a little bit of a break because it's just one thing to produce instead of 5 or 6 different things at one time. So
you still keep in touch with your workshop students?
I do. Actually, one of them has been mentoring one of our students.
Oh, cool.
This year. I really enjoyed my team last year. Nancy and Carolyn were really, really fun to work with.
That's Nancy Borowick and Carolyn Cole.
No,
not sorry.
Carolyn Cole and Nancy Andrews.
No, Nancy Andrews.
Yes.
Sorry.
Nancy.
They're students.
On another team. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Carolyn, I interned at the LA Times back in the day, and Carolyn Cole ended up moving to New York City like the day before I started my internship. So I didn't get to actually meet her in person, I don't think, until the workshop last year.
Yeah, she's
so
wonderful.
She's really cool.
Yeah,
I like her a lot.
Nancy is too. They were so much fun.
Nancy's amazing. Yeah, Nancy.
Felt like we had some girl power.
Yeah, girl power. Yeah, very nice. Well, cool. I'm just thrilled that you made the time to come and chat with us here in the podcast, and I'm excited personally to get more involved. Hopefully, any way that Brigade can get involved in helping out the cause that you're doing, we're down for. So I guess I will say thank you again to Adorama and Adorama's event space, as well as Canon Professional Services and Temba Bags for all the support. And thank you so much. It was great having you on.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No
this
problem.
is such an honor.
We'll see you all next. NYCSalt.org. Donate, help out. Take care, everyone.